Welcome to Mindful Moments. Nourish your mind on the go. This audio uses AI narration to present our original book analysis. Today, we're diving deep into Abby Jimenez's The Happy Ever After playlist. So get ready for a heartwarming and hilarious love story, but with a pretty unique twist.
The story is about Sloan, a grieving artist, and she finds a stray dog. And get this dog actually leads her to Jason, a musician, through a series of really comical voicemails.
Okay, hold on. So we have a dog who knows how to use a phone and has the guts to jump through a sunroof. This sounds wild already.
Oh, it is. Picture this. Sloan's still mourning, right? It's been 2 years since her fiancé died. And she's driving along with a broken sunroof of all things.
Okay, I can see where this is going.
Exactly. And suddenly this huge, slobbery dog appears out of nowhere and leaps right through that open sunroof.
Oh my gosh, I can only imagine the shock.
Right. And the poor police officer who finds her covered in dog drool. But here's where it gets interesting. The dog, they name him Tucker, has a phone attached to his collar. It's full of frantic voicemails from his owner, Jason.
Okay, so what does Sloan do?
Well, in a moment of impulsiveness, she decides to call Jason back. And that's where their connection begins. It's important to remember that Sloan's been isolating herself for 2 years, lost in her grief. This whole encounter with Tucker is like a jolt back to reality, a forced interaction that she desperately needs.
It's almost like fate or the universe is stepping in.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a nudge out of her grief-induced shell. But naturally, things don't exactly go smoothly. Tucker, well, he has a bladder infection from being lost, turning Sloan's house into a minefield of accidents.
Classic, a bit of chaos to spice things up.
It's classic Jimenez, blending humor and chaos. And amidst all this, Sloan and Jason start leaving each other these voicemails, sharing funny stories and little glimpses into their lives.
So the reader gets to eavesdrop on these voicemails.
Exactly. It's such a clever way to reveal their personalities and build chemistry. You can see Sloan slowly coming back to life, finding humor again, and Jason comes across as this caring and witty guy.
It sounds like they're really hitting it off.
They are. And then there's another twist. You see, Jason isn't just any musician. He's Jackson Waters, a Grammy-winning superstar. Sloan has no idea she's been texting and flirting with a celebrity this whole time.
Wow, that's a huge reveal.
Right. It's a total fangirl moment for Sloan, who, by the way, happens to be a fan and has his songs on her playlists.
Yeah, so how does she react?
She's mortified, of course. Meanwhile, Jason, who knew all along who she was, is left wondering if she can see past his fame. It makes you think about honesty and vulnerability in relationships, especially when there's such a power imbalance.
That's a great point. And to make things even more complicated, there's that cooking blog you mentioned.
Oh, yeah, I almost forgot. Sloan is actually the author of The Huntsman's Wife, a super popular blog about, of all things, cooking wild game.
What a coincidence.
Right. And Jason, who loves the outdoors, is a huge fan. He finds out in the most awkward way possible that the woman he's falling for is the voice behind his favorite blog.
This just keeps getting better and better. It's incredible how Jimenez weaves these connections.
Yeah, it really is. And it adds another layer to their relationship. They have these shared interests despite their very different lifestyles, which creates a bond that goes beyond just initial attraction.
So we have a grieving artist, a famous musician, a dog who jumps through sunroofs, and a wild game cooking blog. Where do we even go from here?
Well, there are still obstacles, of course. Sloan's dealing with the emotional baggage of her fiancé's death, and Jason's career takes him on tour for months at a time.
Their lives are on completely different paths.
Exactly. So how do they navigate this budding romance with the weight of grief, fame, and physical distance? That's what we'll explore in the next part of our deep dive. Okay, so where we left off, Sloan and Jason were starting to connect, right? But their lives are like total opposites. So Jimenez throws in some curveballs, to make them face their fears and stuff.
Like real challenges to their relationship.
Yeah, and a big one comes when Jason invites Sloan to Minnesota to meet his family.
Whoa, that's a big step.
Right. It's terrifying for Sloan, especially because she hasn't dated at all since her fiancé died. And now she's about to meet the family of, a famous musician.
I can only imagine the nerves.
But of course, with Jimenez, nothing goes as planned. Sloan gets there and discovers that Jason has a motorcycle.
Uh-oh, that's not good.
No, it's not. It triggers a massive panic attack in Sloan, revealing just how deep her trauma from the accident really is.
That must have been so intense.
It was a really powerful scene. It shows how amazing Jason is, though. He's so patient and understanding. He immediately puts Sloan's needs first and even offers to sell a motorcycle to help her anxiety.
Oh, that's sweet.
It is, right. It really solidifies their bond. You can see how strong their connection is becoming, but then just as things are looking up, boom, another obstacle.
Okay, what is it this time?
Jason gets news that his tour's been extended, like way extended, for over a year.
Oh no, that's a long time to be apart.
Right, it throws everything into chaos. How can they possibly build a future when they barely get to see each other? It's that classic dilemma of balancing dreams and relationships.
It's definitely a tough situation.
Yeah, and faced with all this uncertainty, Sloan makes a tough choice.
What did she decide?
She steps back from the relationship. She needs to focus on herself, on her healing, and getting back into her art. So she heads back to Minnesota and starts working on this painting she had started while she was at Jason's family's place.
It's heartbreaking, but it also shows how strong she is.
Exactly. She knows what she needs. And this separation really tests their love in ways they never expected. Jason starts struggling with writer's block. You can feel the pressure of his career getting to him, plus the pain of being away from Sloan.
Like everything's piling up on him.
And it starts to affect their conversations. There's tension, misunderstandings. It's all very realistic, you know. Long distance is hard.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. And what about Sloan? How's she doing?
Well, she's back in Minnesota, trying to find her footing, throwing herself into her art. But there's this emptiness, like something's missing. And then Jimenez throws in a major twist. Remember Lola, the woman who sang that song about Jason?
Oh yeah, the scandalous one.
She shows up at Jason's hotel room in Vegas, and Sloan walks in on them.
Oh no, talk about bad timing.
It's like a nightmare, right? And of course, it leads to a huge misunderstanding. Sloan's heartbroken, furious. She just flees back to LA. And Jason's left reeling, trying to explain himself.
So their relationship is basically hanging by a thread.
It seems like it. The trust is shattered. It makes you wonder if they can come back from this. Okay, so remember that cliffhanger. Sloan had just walked in on Jason and Lola in Vegas, and it seemed like, well, everything was over.
It was a brutal way to end the last part. Our hearts were breaking for Sloan, and honestly for Jason too.
Yeah, Jimenez really knows how to twist the knife, doesn't she? But this is where the story takes a turn, revealing that things aren't always as they seem.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Remember all those hints about Jason's struggles with his record label? Well, it turns out they were manipulating him, pushing him to create a scandal to boost his career.
Oh wow, so that scene with Lola was all part of their plan.
Exactly, it was all staged. Jason was trapped, forced to play along or risk being sued and losing everything.
And he thought pushing Sloan away would protect her from this whole mess.
Yeah, he thought he was shielding her from the dark side of the music industry. Heartbreaking, right? He was trying to do the right thing, but it backfired in the worst way.
Poor Jason and poor Sloan. So how does she find out the truth?
Jason's friend Zane steps in. He sends Sloan a letter explaining everything. The label's manipulation, the stage scene with Lola, Jason's impossible situation.
Zane's a true friend, coming through when it matters most.
For sure. And this letter changes everything for Sloan. She realizes she misjudged Jason, that he wasn't betraying her but protecting her.
It's amazing how Jimenez shifts the narrative, making us question our assumptions.
That keeps you on your toes. So now, knowing the truth, Sloan decides to attend one of Jason's concerts. Not to confront him, but just to observe him, to see him for who he really is.
It's like she needs to reconnect with him on a deeper level.
Exactly. But their connection is just too strong to stay hidden. Jason spots her in the crowd, even from the stage.
I bet that was an intense moment.
Oh, it was. And what Jason does next, well, it's the ultimate grand gesture.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat, tell me.
He stops the concert, walks off the stage, through the crowd, right up to Sloan, and brings her up with him.
Oh, wow. What happens then?
In front of everyone, he confesses everything. The label's manipulation, his forced involvement, his attempt to protect Sloan. It's raw, it's vulnerable, it's the real Jason.
That takes a lot of courage.
It does. And Sloan, seeing his sincerity, forgives him. It's a beautiful moment of reconciliation, proving that love can triumph even after the toughest trials.
But their story doesn't end there, right?
Mm-hmm.
They still have obstacles to overcome.
True. Jason is still bound by his contract, and Sloan is starting to gain recognition for her art. But they face these challenges together, supporting each other every step of the way.
It's a reminder that even after a happy ending, life goes on. There are always new challenges to navigate.
Exactly. And that's what makes the Happy Ever After playlist so compelling. It's not a fairy tale. It's a realistic portrayal of love, grief, fame, and the complexities of life.
It's a story that stays with you long after you finish reading it. We've explored themes of trust, forgiveness, second chances, and the power of understanding.
And we've seen how Jimenez masterfully blends humor, heartbreak, and heartwarming moments to create a truly captivating story.
The Happy Ever After playlist is a must-read for anyone who loves a good romance with depth and a touch of reality. You can find a link to purchase the book in the show notes.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive, be sure to subscribe to Mindful Moments. Nourish your mind on the go for more insightful book analyses. We're always exploring new stories and uncovering hidden gems.
Until next time, keep nourishing your mind and keep believing in the power of happy endings, even when the path to get there is a little messy.